What's up guys, welcome back to Mike Yourself. In this week's video we're going to do a review of some of the products we put on over the last couple of months. We haven't done one in a while, and that's mainly because we just needed to get a little bit more time on some of these products so we could be sure that what we do, provide you as far as feedback goes is legit, right? So doing our best to really be truthful and honest with you as we go through some of these products. Before we get into that though, what I do want to say is I want to give a huge shout out to the guys over at Dirt Bikes California. So if you don't know who they are, I'm going to link their channel up right here. But check them out. Mikey Loco, NECA, Bill, Ozzy, Eddie, Isaiah, all those guys over there, they're doing an amazing job building some beautiful bikes. So if you like that custom bike look, I mean, it's amazing stuff. And they're not locked down to any one style. So if you want to see amazing bikes, a really cool company, and just some guys actually, getting along and having a blast making cool stuff, check out their stuff. Every week they do a giveaway. So if you enter, you could win, and that winning could be free merch. So I was lucky enough to actually be selected, and I wanted to say thank you to the guys over there. Cool stuff, amazing designs, check them out. Okay guys, so the first thing we're going to view is the big old seat from TCMT. That's not their official name, that's just what I call it, because it is a big old seat. It's very wide. It's got a huge passenger pillion, so makes it really comfortable for your passenger. I compared this essentially to my Mustang seat, which is significantly more expensive than this thing and a lot heavier. And that was, if you watch that video when I did put this on, I was wondering like if that's just because it's older, so it's been rained on and I don't know, butt sweat or whatever. It's kind of been absorbed in the foam, and the reality is it's just different, higher quality foam. I think there might even be gel in there. It is significantly more comfortable than this seat here, but this isn't too bad. So what I would say is right out the box, I wouldn't say this is a very long ride seat, meaning like I wouldn't say this is the best seat or a good buy for if you're going from like say Arizona to Sturgis. But if you're doing something maybe like 6 to 10 hours, this is a definite win, especially for the price. Now one of the things you can also do is get this, because I think it was under $100 for the seat if I remember correctly, but essentially replace the foam. You buy aftermarket foam, have a guy at a local upholstery shop replace that out. You probably get yourself the same quality as far as foam goes from this seat and still pay significantly less. So just my thoughts on it. If you buy it, it's a win for the price and what you can use it for. It's definitely a win, so I recommend it. TCMT's Touring seat, I don't know what their official name is for it, but for the price and what you get, worthwhile. Okay guys, so for this next product, unfortunately I can't show it to you because it's in the fairing of our Road Glide, and that is Siren Vega's DSP. It's the 6-channel model, not with the LED screen on it. So you program it through a USB connection, and as I had shared with you in that video, just in my first test ride of it, I was blown away by the difference of sound. Now I'm a regular, just average user, man, right? Like I don't own an audio shop or whatever, but I've been installing stereos in friends' cars, my own cars, for a very long time. And I'll tell you, like, I've heard the difference when you've added in amplifiers. You get a little bit of quality, little better quality speakers, whatever it is, little things. They've always been small increments when it came to the improvement of the sound. And I gotta tell you, I really wish I would have learned about DSPs a long time ago, because this difference, this improvement that this thing made to our sound system was amazing. It's way better. Now I will say, like, one of the things I wish, and I know there are models out there, but the ability to program without having to actually connect a wire, that would be super cool. But from what I've seen in reviews of not Siren Vega products, but actually other products, is the Bluetooth on those products is typically kind of sketchy. So it makes sense, right? So instead of providing you with something that's kind of sketchy, you go with the best in class as far as connectivity, which is the hard line. So, you know, depending on where you install it, you may be able to access it more easily. I guess I could have ran a hard wire so that way I didn't have to always do it. But I just don't like that because, you know, bikes vibrate and things can get, you know, squirrely sometimes with that connection. They also offer a model with an LED screen on it, so you don't necessarily have to hook up that hard line. You can actually make the adjustments on the LED screen. So if you're looking to avoid that situation, like I was saying, LED screen, and you can put that maybe in your saddlebag or something like that where it's easily accessible. But at the end of the day, if you're wondering whether or not you want to install a DSP on your bike, I'm not telling you need it, but believe me, you want it. So a must have. Check it out. All right, let's talk about the VIAIR. I don't know if you, how you would classify this compressor, but essentially it's a compressor you use for the air ride on your bike. So on my Road King, as I had mentioned before, I got my kit through eBay, and it's been a great kit, but unfortunately my compressor started to fail because moisture was getting into it, and it created rust and actually locked up my armature. So that's your spinning component of that motor, which would essentially turn the piston, which creates the compressed air to come out. So we replaced that with a real VIAIR compressor, which is what I thought came in that kit, but it was not branded. I mean, it looks just like it, and if you check that video out, you'll see what I mean. What I was wondering when I did buy the real deal was I going to see any kind of improvement as far as like inflation, you know, being able to pump up the air system, whether it was going to be quieter or whatever. And so here's what I found is it pumps up the suspension about the same time, right? So it's not any faster, or at least not to something where you're like, oh my God, I'm glad I bought this. So if you really want that fast inflation of your shock system, you got to go with the quick lift system. It's just an additional air tank that gets filled up. Now it does make things a little bit more complex because you're gonna have to throw in a couple more relays and stuff like that, because what happens is once you deplete that air, the compressor's got to refill that. So there's relays and all kinds of stuff that are gonna be switching back and forth, so that way you can fill it up, and once it gets to pressure, then it shuts itself off. So that's a cool system. It's just a little bit more complex, and there's more things you got to hide. So if you're not worried about time, the VIAIR compressor works just fine. So did that other one. Now it really comes down to quality, and I can tell you from, you know, just lots of use already, this VIAIR compressor is quieter than the original one that I had. It was just quite a bit noisier. I mean you really heard it. I was thinking that maybe I didn't tighten something down, and no, it's just louder. So I mean, we're riding Harleys, guys, so if you're worried about sound, it's not a big deal. But the price, of course, isn't too bad. It's $100 for this compressor, and for the name and the quality that I see in this thing, I say it's worthwhile. It's definitely a must-have. But don't get me wrong, the air shock kit, air ride kit that was in that video is also worth the cost. If you have to, you know, replace that compressor a year later, 2 years later, I forget how long I've actually had this one, not a big deal. So check it out. The last item for this video here is gonna be our Siren Horn. I think some people call it the air raid horn or whatever, and I love how it looks. It's so cool. It gives it that old school look. When you hit it, you get that old school sound. It's just cool. Now I will tell you, it is not super loud. It's loud, but not super loud. So just, you know, on a closed freeway somewhere where I was not doing anything illegal, I tested it out just to see how loud it was, and it wasn't that loud. I was kind of like, all right, I expected a little bit more, but I think it's like $40 or something like that. But you know what it brings to the table essentially is a look and a sound that is, you know, kind of associated to lowered oldie, you know, the culture, right? So I definitely think it's worth the money. For the $40 that you spend, you get it. If you're looking for a real horn, like, hey, get out of my way, then you're not going to use this, right? You're going to end up using like the train horn to scare the you know, color off a car or whatever. So definitely win. Check it out. Check out the video where I installed it. It's super duper easy installation, and you can use the existing mounting bracket to put it on, so that way you don't have to worry about fabricating anything crazy. It's pretty straightforward, so check that video out. All right guys, so that's a wrap for this week's video. I hope I brought some value to you, gave you some good feedback on some of these products. You know, so far we've been pretty lucky. We've had a lot more wins than losses, so that's a good thing, and I really appreciate you guys watching. I'm really just trying to grow myself as well personally, as I learn a lot of these different things as I share with you. I'm not a professional at any of this stuff, so I'm your average Mike, like I said, in the garage trying to tune stuff up. Definitely want to recommend checking out that Dirt Bike channel. They do some amazing stuff. They make me want to step up my game, and just a little teaser from an audio perspective, we're going to be doing that step by step. So some really cool stuff to come in the future. So I hope to keep entertaining you, keep teaching, you know, some lessons, whether they be the wrong lessons or the right lessons. And until my next video does drop, I hope to see you in the win.